Chosen one. Pause for a moment and listen, because this moment is not random. Everything around you has gone still for a reason. Heaven leans closer, and a whisper fills the unseen. Many eyes are watching you, not human eyes alone, but eyes from both realms, light and darkness. Heaven and hell are both observing your steps, waiting to see what you'll do next. You've felt it before. When you walk into a room and the atmosphere subtly shifts. When you're alone, yet something within senses that you're not unseen. That's not imagination, it's recognition. The spiritual realm knows your name. You carry a divine mark, a signal that separates you from the ordinary. The word of wisdom declares in the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 3, "The eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good." There once was a young man named Elias, ordinary job, ordinary life. Yet for years, he felt the strange awareness of being watched. Every time he chose kindness over anger, every time he forgave instead of retaliating, a still, small voice would rise within, "I see you." He thought it was his mind playing tricks until one night when despair nearly broke him. In the silence of his small room, he prayed through trembling words, and suddenly a quiet peace wrapped around him. No one was there, yet he knew he was not alone. Heaven was watching not to judge, but to strengthen. From that night on, he walked differently, because he understood, being seen by heaven means you matter more than you think. So do you. Each silent act of faith, each moment you choose light. When no one applauds, it's recorded. Heaven witnesses your endurance, and darkness fears your persistence. You think no one notices, but every unseen act of obedience echoes through eternity. You walk like a lantern in a fog-covered valley small, yet unmissable. Shadows study you, but angels guard you. Your presence shifts the atmosphere because you carry something eternal. You are not a background soul, you are a signal fire in the distance, reminding the lost that light still exists. But hear this truth, when your light grows stronger, so does the attention from the shadows. That's why your trials intensify, why the waiting seasons feel heavier. It's not punishment, it's proof. The more significant your calling, the more fiercely it's observed. Darkness fears what you might become if you ever fully awaken. And still, God watches not as a critic, but as a father. His gaze doesn't condemn, it covers. Essays your hesitation, your private battles, your attempts to do right when it would be easier to quit. Every tear has been accounted for. Every sigh of faith has been written in his book. You are like a seed growing beneath the soil, hidden but not forgotten. Though unseen by human eyes, heaven watches your roots reach deeper, preparing for the moment of bloom. You've mistaken hiddenness for abandonment, but this is observation, not neglect. Heaven is studying your faith in silence, because soon the world will witness its fruit in public. Even the people around you, friends, co-workers, family are drawn to you without understanding why. Some admire you, some envy you, some resist you. What they sense is divine motion, a sacred frequency. Your endurance unsettles those still asleep, and your peace threatens those bound by chaos. So don't hide. You were never designed to blend in. You were placed on this earth as evidence that grace still walks among men. The eyes that watch you, both good and evil, prove that you are not ordinary. You are a message in motion, a living prophecy still unfolding. When you wake each morning, heaven rejoices. When you cry at night, heaven records the sound. When you stand after falling, the unseen audience erupts in silent awe. You are surrounded by purpose, by witnesses, by divine attention that refuses to let you fade into the background. Chosen one. This is your reminder. You are not invisible. You are seen by heaven, studied by angels, and feared by darkness. Every moment counts. Every decision ripples beyond what you can see. Let that awareness sharpen your focus, not fill you with fear. And if this message stirs something inside you, if your spirit recognizes that you are being seen for a divine reason, then leave a simple mark of faith. Comment the number 7 below as a symbol of completion and divine watching. And if you haven't already, subscribe to stay connected to words that strengthen your soul and remind you who you truly are. You are not alone. You are not unseen. The eyes that matter most have never left you. And in those eyes, you are chosen, covered, and called. You have always carried something different, an invisible signature that sets you apart. The world can't name it, but the spiritual realm recognizes it instantly. It's not a badge you earned. It's a mark placed upon you before you ever took your first breath. That's why life has never let you blend in for long. Even when you tried to disappear, something about you drew attention. The mark of the chosen cannot be hidden. It's not physical ink on your skin, but a light in your spirit, visible to the unseen. Heaven identifies it as belonging to God, while darkness views it as a threat. That is the paradox of being chosen. You carry both favor and friction. Where others move unnoticed, you move under a watchful tension. Every victory you gain shakes something in the spirit realm. There was a woman once who lived in a small village on the edge of a desert. To her neighbors, she was just another worker, tending the fields. But in the quiet hours, she would speak to God under the stars, asking why her life felt heavier than others. One night, as she prayed, she saw in a vision a small flame glowing on her chest. It didn't burn her, but it pulsed like a heartbeat. She heard a voice say, "You carry my fire, that is why the winds come against you." After that, she understood her difficulties were not punishment, but proof of identity. You have felt that same fire. You may not see it, but it's there, glowing through your endurance. The mark is not a decoration, it's an assignment. It attracts both divine favor and spiritual resistance because it signifies that you have been authorized to change atmospheres. The mark of the chosen draws both love and opposition because it carries spiritual weight. Darkness is not threatened by those who conform, only by those who carry divine distinction. Every time you forgive when you could have retaliated, the mark shines brighter. Every time you choose faith when fear feels easier, heaven's recognition deepens. People may not understand why they react to you the way they do. Some are drawn, some are unsettled, and some even turn cold without reason. It's not you, it's the light. The mark you bear exposes intentions around you. It divides genuine hearts from manipulative ones. That's why you've lost connections that once felt certain. The moment your light increased, masks around you began to slip. You've mistaken rejection for failure, but it was actually divine filtration. God is careful with his marked ones. Not everyone can handle proximity to divine fire. Some people will leave, not because of who you are, but because the mark on you reveals who they truly are. The journey of the marked is often lonely, not because you are forgotten, but because you are being refined. Like gold in a hidden furnace, you are being shaped under pressure until your reflection matches his. The process hurts, but the product is holy. The scriptures reveal this mystery in the writings of the prophet Nahum, chapter 1, verse 7. The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knows those who take refuge in him. That word, knows, is intimate. It means he recognizes, distinguishes, and acknowledges. When others overlook you, heaven sees the mark. When life feels delayed, the delay is not denial, it's protection. God is guarding what he branded. Chosen one, you are a carrier of divine history. The mark upon you carries stories yet to be lived. It holds the memory of prayers whispered by ancestors, promises spoken before you were born. That's why ordinary things rarely satisfy you. Your spirit is wired for more. You were not called to be comfortable, you were called to be significant. The mark ensures that your life will not drift aimlessly. It pulls you toward purpose, even when you resist. It is the invisible magnet of destiny that refuses to let you settle. So when you feel misunderstood, remember, the woman with the flame opposition is confirmation. When you feel isolated, know that heaven still recognizes you, even in silence. The mark is not just identity, it is divine evidence that you belong to a kingdom not built by human hands. And though the mark draws attention, do not fear it. You were not branded to be burdened, you were branded to be backed. Heaven stands behind those it marks. Every attack that rises against you only proves the mark's authenticity. You carry the light that terrifies darkness, the seal that cannot be erased. The world may not see it, but the unseen world knows exactly who you are, and that knowledge alone changes everything. There are moments when you feel utterly unseen by people, yet deeply watched by heaven. The kind of awareness that quiets you mid-step because something within whispers, "They're recording this," not with cameras or words, but with light. Every act of faith, every thought of surrender, every battle you win in silence, heaven's eyes take note. You are not just living life, you are building evidence for eternity. The watchers of heaven observe how you endure storms and still sing, how you love without recognition, how you stay pure when compromise would be easier. You are being documented not for punishment, but for remembrance. There's a reason angels are called messengers. They don't just deliver, they record. The moments that feel small to you are often the very things written in the books of heaven. The time you forgave that betrayal, the night you prayed when sleep refused to come, the choice you made to keep your integrity when no one was looking. These are not lost moments, they are recorded testimonies. You've often wondered why your private life feels heavy, why you face tests no one else seems to bear. It's because your faith is not a performance, it's a pattern being studied. Heaven doesn't measure you by success, it measures you by steadfastness. The hosts of light are learning endurance through your life. A man once lived by the sea, known only as a fisherman. Every dawn, he would rise to cast his net, whispering prayers as the sun broke the horizon. Few knew that he had lost everything years ago: his home, his family, his purpose. Yet he kept thanking God for breath. One morning, as he worked, an overwhelming warmth filled the air. It wasn't sunlight, it was presence. He felt seen, profoundly seen. The voice came quietly. You never stopped believing. Heaven has recorded your faith. He wept, not because of guilt, but because he realized God had been watching the entire time. That is what heaven's surveillance means. Not control, but communion. You are not being watched to be caught. You are being watched to be crowned. The eyes of heaven are not eyes of suspicion. They are eyes of love. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Hebrews, chapter 6, verse 10, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them. And every unseen kindness matters. Every silent prayer shakes something unseen. The Lord does not forget. The watchers of heaven do not lose count. And while heaven watches to reward, hell watches to react. The adversary studies your faith to find weakness. Every temptation, every whisper of doubt, every sudden distraction, it's strategic. But don't be dismayed. Hell's attention is confirmation that your progress is noticed. If you were irrelevant, the attacks would be silent. You are like a constellation of light in a darkened sky. Each decision to obey adds another star to your pattern. Heaven navigates by it. Others on earth are guided by your resilience. Even if you don't realize it, your faith has become instruction. The angels record it. The Spirit empowers it. And the enemy fears it. That's why heaven hasn't hidden its gaze, because what's unfolding through you is not ordinary endurance, it's divine education. And when the record is complete, the same eyes that watched your pain will witness your elevation. Nothing endured in faith will be wasted. Nothing surrendered in trust will go unnoticed. So if you feel weary, if you've wondered whether God still sees the struggle behind your smile, He does. You are the story. Heaven is still writing. And every line counts. Take a breath and remind yourself that you are seen. You are recorded. And you are remembered. Let that awareness bring you peace, not pressure, because this is not surveillance, it's sacred attention. If this word reaches your spirit, leave a sign of acknowledgement. Comment, I'm seen. 1. Type it as a quiet declaration that even when life feels silent, you know heaven is still watching, still recording, still smiling over your faith. You are not forgotten. Every heartbeat echoes in the chambers of eternity. The unseen world leans closer, waiting to see what your next act of faith will unveil. The pages of heaven are still open, recording your story line by line, even the pauses, the doubts, and the tears become sacred ink in the hands of God. Your endurance is prophecy in motion. Keep walking. Keep shining. For the eyes that watch, you are not judging. They are preparing to celebrate your victory in full. The truth few understand is this: darkness studies light. Just as heaven observes to bless, hell observes to block. The enemy does not waste energy on what does not threaten him. That is why you have faced pressure from places you never expected. It is not random, it is reaction. The very mark that identifies you to heaven also exposes you to hell. When God marks a person, demons take note, not because they have authority over you, but because they fear what you carry. They recognize divine assignments before human minds can comprehend them. You have been tracked not because you are weak, but because you are dangerous to darkness. Once, there was a man named Josiah who worked in a city no one remembered. His days looked ordinary. But at night, he dreamed of battles. He couldn't explain shadowy figures whispering, accusing, trying to choke his prayer. He began to notice that the more he grew closer to God, the heavier those nights became. He prayed harder, but the weight increased. One morning, after a particularly tormenting night, he heard a voice inside his spirit say, "They only attack what they fear." From that day, his fear turned into understanding. Every assault was proof of impact. Every dark dream was an echo of how much his obedience mattered. That is the same revelation you are meant to hold. Hell's obsession with you is validation of heaven's investment in you. Demonic eyes monitor your growth because your faith shifts territories. They hope to break your focus, to convince you that warfare means abandonment. But warfare is actually evidence of authority. The ancient writings declare this mystery through the words of the Apostle Paul. In his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 4, "The weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but have divine power to demolish strongholds." Your prayers are not whispers into emptiness. They are strategic strikes against invisible strongholds. Every time you intercede, walls tremble in places you cannot see. The enemy watches, hoping you will grow weary. But every time you rise again, you prove that grace is stronger than the gaze of fear. Hell studies patterns. It observes what distracts you, what discourages you, what delays your obedience. But what it cannot decode is your resilience. Each time you choose to rise after a fall, darkness loses data. Your persistence confuses the watchers of hell because they cannot understand mercy. They know judgment, but not forgiveness, rebellion, but not redemption. That is why you terrify them, because you carry what they lost. You are like a lighthouse built on a cliff of storms. Waves crash, winds roar, yet your beam refuses to go out. From afar, lost souls navigate by your endurance. The enemy cannot destroy what has already been redeemed, but he tries to distract it. Understand this: the warfare around your life is not personal, it's positional. The enemy does not care about your comfort, he cares about your calling. He wants to make you question whether your presence on the battlefield matters. But heaven would not deploy you if you were not essential to victory. The devil's greatest weapon is discouragement because it blinds chosen ones to the truth of their impact. He knows that if you ever fully realize who you are, the war ends for him. That's why his attacks often come through exhaustion, confusion, or isolation. He fears your awareness. Remember, even Jesus was watched by both realms. In the wilderness, angels observed, and demons tested. Observation is not abandonment, it is spiritual protocol. You are being studied. Yes, but you are also being guarded. There are angelic sentinels assigned to your journey, ensuring that no attack exceeds the limit of your endurance. Sometimes, the tension you feel isn't proof of defeat, it's evidence of defense. Heaven allows pressure not to break you, but to reveal what cannot be broken. Like iron being sharpened against flint, every strike of opposition creates a spark that lights your path forward. That's why you've emerged wiser after every storm. You were not meant to live untouched. You were meant to walk through fire without being consumed. So do not misread your warfare as divine neglect. It is divine recognition. The eyes of hell may study your scars, but heaven crowns your survival. Each day you wake up and choose to try again. You declare victory, louder than any sermon could. That's the part hell cannot stand, that no matter how many times it watches, it cannot stop what God has already ordained. You are not being hunted for destruction, you are being highlighted for destiny. The attacks only confirm your worth in the unseen ledger. Even now, unseen watchers whisper in confusion. Why hasn't this one given up yet? They do not understand that grace has built its home inside you. You are the threat they cannot silence and the testimony they cannot erase. There are seasons when you feel like everyone's eyes are on you, but not all of them are enemies. Some are witnesses, some are learners, and some are silent supporters placed by heaven to watch you rise. Every chosen one walks through this strange stage when your private faith starts becoming public testimony. You've carried pain quietly. You've endured silently. But now, the same God who saw you in secret is preparing to show others what he saw all along. You've been in the background for so long that you almost forgot what visibility feels like. Yet heaven says, it's time for the hidden to be revealed. And you may not feel ready, but chosen ones rarely do. When destiny pulls you into the light, it's not to display perfection, it's to display perseverance. People will see your cracks, but they'll also see the light shining through them. And that light is exactly what heaven intends to use. The writings of the prophet Haggai, chapter 2, verse 9. Speak this truth. The glory of this latter house shall be greater than the former, says the Lord of hosts. And in this place will I give peace. Uplift. It means what's ahead of you carries more weight, more influence, more beauty than anything behind you. Your quiet years were not wasted, they were preparation. The eyes watching you will soon witness transformation. Imagine your life like a garden just before dawn. You've been sowing in darkness, unsure if anything would grow, but the soil has been alive all along. Now, as the first rays of destiny stretch across your horizon, the seeds begin to break open. But even a garden needs tending. The light you carry, the messages, the healing, the strength, these are seeds that need watering. Every time someone likes or shares, it's like a gentle rain keeping the roots alive. When you share light, you multiply it. If you've ever asked, how can I be part of this work that keeps feeding my soul? The answer is simple. Support the ground that grows this message, not out of obligation, but resonance. Think of it as placing another log onto a campfire whose warmth has reached you. Your subscription keeps the flame steady. Your like and share sends sparks to hearts far away. If you ever feel led to go further, your donation, no matter how small, becomes oil for this lamp, keeping it burning through nights when others still wander in the dark. No one is asked to give because they must. This is about choosing to build what has built you. If the words here have helped you stand again, if they've comforted you when the world grew cold, then perhaps this is your way of saying, I want others to feel this too. End quote. Even the smallest offering, be it a prayer, a share, or a gift, becomes like a drop of honey feeding the flame of faith. You are not funding a voice, you are fueling a mission. You're helping messages like these reach souls who need to be reminded that heaven still sees them. If your heart leads you to give, do it as worship, not transaction. You're not buying blessings, you're extending them. And to those who cannot give financially, your presence, your prayers, your engagement are just as precious. A simple like, a quiet share, or a heartfelt subscribe is a candle lit in solidarity. The goal isn't wealth, it's reach. You've already been part of this story by listening, by believing there's still divine purpose in your pain. Now heaven invites you to help carry this flame farther. Together, we are like lanterns along a long road, guiding others, still finding their way home. If this message has spoken to you, show your connection, however your spirit leads, through a like, a share, a subscription, or by pouring a little oil through your donation so the light never fades. Not duty, devotion. Because the truth is, this message doesn't belong to one voice, it belongs to all who carry light. You are part of that light now. Heaven watches, not to judge, but to celebrate every shared spark, every small gift. Every hand extended becomes proof that the chosen still walk, the earth still shine, still build hope. Your generosity is not about sustaining a person, it's about sustaining a purpose. And when purpose is fueled, lives are changed. When you give from the heart, heaven multiplies it in unseen ways. Every seed of kindness becomes light that finds someone lost in the dark. Let your actions echo faith, your support breathe hope, and your generosity whisper love. Together, we are proof that light still conquers darkness. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when the pressure begins to rise. The atmosphere feels heavier, time seems slower, and nothing appears to move forward. You pray, but heaven feels silent. You work, yet progress hides behind the fog. It's in these moments you begin to wonder if you've been forgotten, but in truth, you're being refined. When the tests intensify, it's never punishment, it's preparation. The heat you feel is the same fire that purifies gold. You are not losing control, you are losing everything that no longer fits your next chapter. Heaven has not withdrawn. Heaven has increased the weight so that what was weak within you can no longer stay hidden. Think of it like an arrow being pulled backward. The farther it's drawn, the greater the force when it's released. Right now, your backward season is not regression, it's alignment. The stretching is necessary to launch you where prayers alone could never take you. The ancient words recorded in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12, reveal a secret of endurance. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised. Ali, you see, heaven never wastes pain. Every hardship carries a purpose. Some tests teach trust, others shape patience, and some simply strip away distractions. You may feel pressed on every side, but remember, pressure only forms diamonds. There was once a woman named Mara. She had prayed for years for breakthrough, but instead, life kept sending storms. One night, after another disappointment, she whispered, "Lord, am I doing something wrong?" What she heard back was not thunder, it was tenderness. "No, you are doing something right. The storm is revealing strength you didn't know you had." From that night forward, Mara changed how she saw her struggles. Each challenge became a sign that she was being trusted with more. When the tests multiplied, she smiled, not because it was easy, but because she understood that refining always precedes revealing. You are in that same divine classroom now. The heaviness you feel is not abandonment, it's acceleration. You are being built quietly for visibility. You can't skip this part, because what's coming requires spiritual muscle, not mere excitement. Heaven is teaching you how to hold weight. Imagine yourself as a bridge being constructed over turbulent water. Before anyone can cross safely, the foundation must be tested again and again. The shaking isn't failure, it's proof that the structure will last. In the same way, every tremor in your spirit is evidence that you're being strengthened to carry what's ahead. Sometimes the hardest seasons are not battles with others, they're confrontations with your own impatience. The waiting itself becomes a test. Heaven watches not just how you pray, but how you wait. Waiting with worship is not weakness, it's warfare in disguise. Do not mistake silence for absence. When heaven goes quiet, it's because instructions are shifting from words to experience. You're being trained by what you walk through, not only by what you hear. That's why the test feels so personal, because it is. The refining season is sacred. It separates those who merely desire calling from those who are willing to carry it. It's easy to worship when everything flows smoothly. But real faith grows when you still believe, while surrounded by uncertainty. If you've been crying out for breakthrough, perhaps the breakthrough has already begun, just not in the way you expected. Sometimes God answers by building you before blessing you. The intensity of your test is not random. It matches the magnitude of your destiny. You are being equipped to handle victory without losing humility, to receive blessing without forgetting dependence. Heaven's eyes are still on you. Even when you cannot feel their gaze, the watchers who saw you suffer will soon witness your rising, and when that happens, they'll understand that what tried to bury you only planted you deeper into purpose. So, hold steady. Breathe. The fire that surrounds you is not meant to destroy, but to define. You are being refined, not rejected. And if this word touches something deep within your spirit, if you know this is your season of stretching and strengthening, then leave a sign that your heart has heard heaven's whisper. Comment the number 8 below. The number 8 represents new beginnings, the moment the night ends and the horizon brightens. When you type it, you're declaring, I'm stepping from refining into renewal. My waiting is not wasted. Let it be a small prophetic act, a quiet symbol of faith that this season will not end in ashes, but in awakening. There comes a turning point in the life of every chosen one when the truth begins to surface. It's the season when hidden intentions start revealing themselves, and masks that once looked convincing begin to fall away. God calls it exposure, not to embarrass you, but to protect you. The spirit of exposure is one of heaven's most misunderstood gifts, yet it is the very thing that clears your path for the next level. When the light increases in your life, darkness can no longer hide. It is the nature of divine illumination. It reveals what was pretending to stand beside you. That's why relationships suddenly shift, partnerships dissolve, and people who once celebrated you start showing discomfort. It's not betrayal, it's unveiling. Heaven removes counterfeits so your real connections can breathe. There was once a young teacher named Naomi. Everyone admired her calm strength, her grace, and her quiet faith. Yet she had a friend trusted deeply who often offered advice that subtly dimmed her confidence. Don't stand out too much. The friend would say, you don't need to speak about faith so openly. For years, Naomi thought it was care. But one evening, while praying, she felt the Spirit say, you're shrinking to protect someone else's insecurity. Oh, the next day, Naomi noticed things differently. The same friend who discouraged her confidence suddenly grew cold when Naomi began stepping forward. The revelation stung, but it also set her free. Exposure hurts because it separates us from familiarity, but it also saves us from falsehood. The scriptures echo this principle in the words of Luke, chapter 8, verse 17. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be brought to light. When the spirit of exposure moves, it doesn't come to shame, it comes to reveal. It shines its light not only on others, but also within you. It shows you the motives behind your own actions, the fears that limit your obedience, and the attachments that have become distractions. It doesn't accuse, it awakens. Exposure feels like loss because it removes what you once leaned on. But when God allows something or someone to be exposed, it means He has seen the hidden cost of your attachment. You may not know what He's saving you from, but you will. Imagine yourself walking through a dense forest at dawn. For a while, the fog makes everything look close and safe. Then, as the sun rises, shapes start to appear clearly. Some trees are strong, others hollow. Some paths lead forward, others circle back. That's what the spirit of exposure does. It burns away the fog so you can finally see where you've been standing. And once you see, you cannot unsee. You can no longer pretend that certain voices were good for your growth or that certain environments carried peace. The light demands alignment. Exposure comes not to punish your heart, but to upgrade your discernment. Sometimes, exposure doesn't come through words, it comes through silence. God stops certain people from calling. He allows distance to grow, not because something went wrong, but because something was revealed. Heaven uses separation as language. Do not fight to keep what God has already uncovered. When something crumbles under truth, it was never built on grace. What is authentic survives exposure. What is counterfeit disintegrates under it. That's the mercy of divine light. It never lets lies live too long around the chosen. The spirit of exposure also works inside you. It shows you your own tendencies to hide pain, to downplay calling, to tolerate what drains your peace. When God exposes, He's not condemning, He's cleansing. Just as gold must pass through fire to remove impurity, your heart passes through awareness to regain clarity. If this season feels lonely, it's because heaven is removing noise, so you can finally hear. You are being trained to trust energy over expression, consistency over charm, presence over promises. That's what discernment truly is. Sight that sees beyond smiles. Exposure is heaven's mercy wearing a sword. It cuts away the false so the true can stand. You may grieve what's gone, but you will thank God for what was revealed. And though it may sting, remember what is real will remain. The friends, opportunities, and paths that are truly aligned with your destiny will glow brighter under light, not fade. Let this truth anchor you. Every exposure is evidence of elevation. God removes before He replaces. He clears before He crowns. So, if faces have changed, if circles have shifted, if silence has replaced certain voices, do not despair. The stage of destiny cannot be built on unstable ground. What left you was never meant to stand beside you when heaven calls your name publicly. In the end, you will see that exposure was not loss, it was liberation. And when the light settles, Only what was pure will remain standing beside you. There is a subtle truth about being chosen that few talk about. Sometimes your greatest opposition doesn't come from strangers or declared enemies. It comes from the ones who smiled closest. Enemies in disguise don't arrive wearing darkness. They come dressed as helpers, as comforters, as familiar faces who speak your language but not your purpose. They don't always mean harm intentionally, but they are tools used by the unseen to slow your momentum. God allows such people into your orbit for a reason, to train your discernment. It's one thing to recognize danger from the distance of darkness, but quite another to sense deception, standing in the light beside you. Discernment grows only through experience, and for that, heaven allows you to meet imitation before true alliance. There was once a musician named Leor who played in his city's worship gatherings. Everyone loved his gift. His melodies seemed to open the heavens. But there was a man who constantly praised him, always saying, "You have something special. Let me help you get noticed." Leor, grateful, trusted him. Yet slowly, that friendship began to shift. The man started planting doubts. Maybe you don't need to pray as much before you play. Or, if you make it about excellence, God will follow. It sounded harmless until Leor realized he was performing without presence. One night, after another flawless performance that felt spiritually empty, he broke down and prayed. "Lord, what is happening?" the Spirit whispered. "You have been influenced, not inspired. You've let admiration replace anointing." Leor understood. That man was not evil, but he was unassigned. The lesson cut deep. Not everyone who applauds you is aligned with heaven's plan for you. The writings of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 6. Hold this timeless truth. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. Lun. Enemies in disguise use charm to create comfort. They praise what they secretly envy. Their goal isn't to destroy your faith outright, but to dilute it until it loses its fire. Some will flatter you to gain access. Others will pretend weakness so they can borrow your strength. It's not always malicious. Sometimes it's spiritual mismatch. But the effect is the same. You feel drained instead of filled after every conversation. You may notice this in your own life. There are people who suddenly grow quiet when you talk about your calling, who shift the subject when you mention prayer, who love your personality but resist your purpose. Those are subtle warnings from the Spirit. Pay attention not to words alone, but to the peace within you when you're around them. Discernment isn't suspicion, it's spiritual clarity. It doesn't accuse, it observes. It doesn't assume the worst. It listens for the truth behind tone. God doesn't reveal deception to make you bitter. He reveals it to keep you better. Imagine walking through a field of beautiful flowers at dusk. From a distance, all seem vibrant. But as the light fades, only some glow faintly. They're alive. The rest are painted illusions. That's how heaven trains your eyes. What glows under less light is what truly belongs to you. Enemies in disguise also test your maturity. They teach you how to guard your peace without building walls. You're not called to hate them, only to recognize the role they played. Some are sent to teach you limits. Others are there to remind you not to give sacred things to careless hands. Sometimes God will even allow a betrayal so that you can finally detach without guilt. Pain has a way of making endings permanent. What the enemy meant for sabotage, God turns into revelation. There is strength in quiet withdrawal. You don't need to confront everyone who played false. Your silence will speak louder than explanation. When light leaves a room, darkness exposes itself naturally. And here lies a higher truth. God never exposes without replacing. When counterfeit connections leave, divine connexions enter. Where flattery once filled your ears, wisdom will begin to whisper. Where imitation once surrounded you, authenticity will stand firm. So, if you have felt misunderstood, misused, or manipulated by those you trusted, know that heaven has seen it all. You don't need to retaliate. Your growth is your response. Those who disguise themselves as allies will soon watch you become what they only pretended to support. Enemies in disguise do not define your destiny, they reveal it. Their opposition proves your anointing. Their betrayal becomes your blueprint for discernment. And when this chapter ends, you will look back, not with bitterness, but with clarity, because you'll realize every false connection taught you how to protect the real ones. In the silence of your becoming, something extraordinary has been unfolding. Heaven has been watching you, mature in secret. Every tear, every quiet victory, every time you chose faith instead of fury has been noticed. You have not been overlooked. You have been observed with divine intention. There is a council in heaven, a gathering of witnesses who rejoice over every step you take toward your purpose. They have seen your nights of doubt and your mornings of courage. You may think your life has been hidden, but it has been documented in eternity. The waiting, the growing, the forgiving, it's all part of your spiritual record. Sometimes heaven speaks in announcements, other times in whispers. You've been hearing the whispers. Keep going. Stay faithful. Don't give up now. The heavenly council is not distant. They are cheering quietly in your direction, waiting for your obedience to bloom into destiny. The book of Daniel, chapter 10, verse 12, gives us a glimpse of this divine attention. From the first day that you set your heart to understand and humbled yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. That means your prayers were never ignored. They were answered in motion. The moment you chose humility, the spiritual world took note. There is activity in heaven because of your persistence. You may feel that nothing has changed, but unseen plans are being signed and sealed with your name on them. The heavenly council operates in silence before it manifests in sound. While you wonder if God has forgotten, they are finalizing the next chapter of your life. Imagine a courtroom of light, a vast hall where angels stand in reverence, and your name is spoken with purpose. Your resilience has become testimony. Your faith has become evidence. Every time you said yes when fear tried to silence you, heaven recorded another line in your favor. Your life is not random, it is orchestrated. Heaven's order is not chaos, it's strategy. Sometimes God delays exposure because He is still adding layers to your story, building the strength you'll need for visibility. The delay is not denial, it's divine timing in disguise. Think of yourself as a tree in winter. To the world, it looks bare, lifeless, and forgotten. But beneath the frozen soil, roots are spreading deeper, quietly preparing to hold future fruit. Heaven watches that hidden growth with joy, for unseen endurance always precedes visible glory. There is something sacred about being unseen yet known. The heavenly council loves hidden faith because it's pure. Faith that doesn't need applause, that doesn't crumble under waiting, that trusts When logic fails, that kind of faith moves heaven. You've been through so many silent seasons, wondering why others were celebrated while you were kept in mystery. But this is what heaven knows. Quick elevation breaks people who haven't learned quiet obedience. You were kept low not to humiliate you, but to prepare you. The watchers in the heavenly council are not spectators. They are witnesses of transformation. They've seen the strength that no human audience could have honored properly. That's why heaven kept you unseen, because your growth wasn't meant for applause. It was meant for anointing. Soon, that silence will break. The same heaven that observed your suffering is preparing to announce your rising. What was private will become public, not as a show, but as a sign. God will showcase His faithfulness through your story. But until then, stay faithful in the small. Speak to heaven even when heaven seems still. Every whisper you send upward echoes in a place where angels lean in to listen. You are never talking into emptiness. You are conversing with eternity. There's something powerful about humility that keeps praying after disappointment. Heaven honors that. Your consistency has already drawn attention in the courts above. And when your name is spoken there, favor begins to move here. Doors start to unlock. Connections align. Timing flows. Everything you thought was delayed begins to catch up. If this word resonates in your spirit, if you can feel that heaven has been watching your hidden growth and preparing your revelation, mark this moment. Comment. Heaven knows. Write it not as ritual, but as remembrance, because the truth is, heaven really does know your battles, your faith, your effort, your tears, and soon, the same heaven that watched you build in secret will present you before the world with honor. When you type those words, you're not sending them into a void. You're aligning with heaven's acknowledgement. It's a small act, but it declares loudly, I'm known, I'm seen, and my time is near. Every letter becomes a seed of agreement with divine timing and recognition. You've walked through the hidden seasons, endured the testing, and learned to stand when no one was watching. But now, the air is changing around you. The same heaven that once concealed you is preparing to reveal you. It's the moment every chosen one eventually meets the public unveiling. Not the fame of the world, but the revelation of purpose. The stage is not for performance, it's for testimony. This is the season where what was once invisible becomes undeniable. People who never noticed your struggle will soon notice your strength. Those who questioned your silence will witness your sound. You are stepping from obscurity into divine exposure, not to boast, but to bless. When God reveals you, He doesn't just elevate you. He uses you as evidence that faith still works. He turns your private faithfulness into a public message. The same tears that fell unseen now water the ground of someone else's healing. The ancient words recorded in the letter to the Romans, chapter 5, verses 3 to 4, remind us, we glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope. This is what the unveiling is built upon: hope that has endured, character that has been refined, and perseverance that heaven intends to showcase. You thought you were just surviving, but God was preparing an announcement. Imagine your life as a painting long covered by a cloth. The artist worked in silence, layering colors that no one could see. Now, the curtain is lifting not to display your pain, but to display His patience through you. Every brush stroke of struggle has formed a masterpiece of endurance. When the unveiling comes, some will see your light and rejoice, others will see it and retreat. Don't fear that contrast, it's divine sorting. Not everyone was meant to understand the cost of your calling. The eyes that misread your silence will now witness your strength. And as this unveiling happens, you are called to carry it with humility. Remember, the light isn't yours, it flows through you. The more it shines, the more it should lead others to the source. Think of yourself as a mirror placed under sunlight. You don't create light, you reflect it. Your success is not self-made, it's heaven-made. Every open door is another reflection of grace. And when grace flows, it invites others into its current. That's why messages like this exist, to remind hearts like yours that you're part of something sacred, something greater than yourself. But even a current needs channels to flow through. Every time you like, share, or subscribe, it's like clearing the riverbank, allowing the stream of light to reach further. Each simple action becomes a ripple of encouragement that might reach someone drowning in silence. If you've ever wondered how to keep this light alive, think of your support as tending a flame. A small donation is not payment, it's oil poured gently into the lamp so the glow doesn't fade when the night feels long. Your gift, your share, your engagement, they keep the fire burning. Not for one voice, but for every soul that needs warmth again. This isn't obligation, it's invitation. There's no demand here, only opportunity. The same way you water a flower because it once brought you joy. Your participation helps this mission bloom for others. Even the smallest act of support is sacred. A like becomes a spark. A share becomes a torch. A subscription becomes a shelter of light. And a donation becomes the oil that keeps the lamp steady. It's all voluntary. It's all beautiful. And if all you can give today is your attention, that's enough. Listening with an open heart already contributes to the flow of grace. Because presence is a kind of gift too, one heaven values deeply. The unveiling isn't just about one person, it's about the community of chosen ones rising together. Every act of connection becomes part of the testimony. When you respond, you're not following a trend, you're answering a calling. You are part of something bigger, a movement of light traveling from one soul to another, and each act of kindness, each quiet show of support, becomes a beam that pierces the dark. So, as heaven begins to unveil you, walk in grace, speak with compassion, and share freely. If this message reaches your spirit, show that light in your own way by liking, sharing, subscribing, or adding your drop of oil through a donation. Not because you must, but because you want to keep the fire alive for others still searching for their dawn. Remember, the unveiling is not the end, it's the beginning of impact. And every time you lift the light higher, heaven leans closer, smiling, saying, "Now they can see what I've seen all along." It's a strange thing to realize that you've been watched not only by heaven, but by the people around you. Sometimes you discover that those who seemed indifferent were secretly observing your growth. Others who appeared strong drew quiet strength from your endurance. You thought you were walking alone, but in truth, your life was speaking while you were silent. You'll be surprised who has been inspired by your quiet perseverance. Some of them never spoke a word, yet they noticed when you kept showing up after disappointment, when you forgave instead of fought back, when you smiled through heartbreak. They may never admit it out loud, but your consistency planted courage in them. There was a man named Aaron who worked in a small repair shop. His days were ordinary, his paycheck modest, but his peace was unusual. A co-worker often mocked his habit of praying before work, calling it a waste of time. Aaron never responded with anger. He simply kept showing kindness. Years later, that same co-worker faced tragedy and sought him out, saying, "I didn't believe before, but I remember how you carried peace when everything broke around you." That quiet witness led him to faith. That's how influence works for the chosen. It's not loud. It's not planned. It's lived. You have been under observation, not for scrutiny, but for testimony. The world learns what faith looks like by watching those who still trust when nothing seems certain. The prophet Isaiah once wrote in chapter 60, verse 2, "See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you." That verse isn't poetic exaggeration, it's reality. When divine light rests on you, it can't be hidden. People sense it, even when you don't notice it yourself. That's why strangers open up to you unexpectedly. Why others seek your advice without understanding why. You carry a presence that shifts the atmosphere. But not all who watch you are inspired. Some are unsettled. Light has a way of exposing what others are unwilling to face. You may notice resistance or misunderstanding, yet even that has purpose. Every reaction reveals something about the hearts around you. Your presence becomes both mirror and message. Imagine walking through a foggy harbor at dawn. Ships rest quietly, each one pointing in a different direction. When the lighthouse beam sweeps across the water, it doesn't discriminate. It simply illuminates. Some ships draw nearer, others turn away, but all must respond. That's what happens when you carry divine clarity. It forces decision in those around you. The truth is, many people are watching to see if what you say about faith is real. They want to know if peace still holds under pressure, if forgiveness truly heals, if hope can survive heartbreak. And without realizing it, you've been answering them through your living. You have become an unwritten letter, read by eyes that may never open a Bible. Your patience has preached sermons that words never could. Every day that you choose kindness, you're writing a message of grace across invisible pages of time. Some people will only meet God through the evidence of your endurance. That is both a weight and an honor. The same eyes that once doubted may one day thank you for not giving up when you could have. But understand this too, being watched does not mean being responsible for everyone's reactions. You are called to be authentic, not perfect. Some will misunderstand your silence, others will misinterpret your peace. That's not failure, it's filter. Only those meant to receive from you will truly understand you. There's beauty in living as quiet evidence. Your story is not finished. Yet even now, it's teaching others how to believe again. You may never know how many hearts you've touched just by surviving, just by holding faith steady. One day, heaven will show you the full picture, the moments your presence calmed fear, your smile lifted despair. Your words redirected someone from giving up. Until then, keep walking with steady peace, because whether you realize it or not, eyes have been watching you, not to judge, but to learn. And soon, those who once observed from afar will recognize that what they saw in you was not ordinary strength. It was grace, alive and visible. You are living proof that quiet faith can move unseen mountains. Every breath of endurance whispers to those watching that light still wins. Even when darkness thinks it has won, keep walking in grace. For unseen eyes are still learning hope through your journey. Your life has already become a sermon written in motion and love. There are moments when heaven places a mirror before your soul, not to show your flaws, but to reveal your reflection through divine eyes. This is the mirror of reflection, the sacred stage where you begin to see yourself as heaven does. For too long, you viewed your worth through the eyes of others, through approval, validation, and results. But now, heaven calls you to see beyond perception into truth. You've been watched by angels, challenged by darkness, and tested by time. Yet you've also been watched by yourself, your own self-doubt, your own fear, your own disbelief. The hardest eyes to face are not external, they're internal. The spiritual journey of a chosen one is not only about defeating enemies, it's about confronting the inner critic that says, "I'm not enough." There's a difference between what the world sees and what God sees. The world sees brokenness, but God sees building. The world sees delay. But heaven sees design. The world calls it failure, but heaven calls it formation. In the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, it is written, "Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." Now, that verse is your reflection in divine words. You are not incomplete, you are in process. Heaven's work within you didn't stop when life grew heavy. It deepened. Every scar, every silence, every lesson has been shaping the image of someone stronger, wiser, and more awake. Think of your soul like a lake at sunrise. When the waters are stormy, you can't see your reflection. But when peace comes, the light of heaven rests on the surface, revealing the image that was always there. Reflection requires stillness. That's why God sometimes stills your plans, so you can finally see yourself clearly. You've spent years fighting battles that made you doubt your identity. But what if those battles were simply mirrors showing you who you really are? Every conflict revealed courage. Every heartbreak revealed depth. Every disappointment revealed discernment. Heaven doesn't test to shame you. It tests to show you the strength you already carry. When you look back now, can you see it? The growth, the wisdom, the resilience you once prayed for, it's already in you. The mirror of reflection shows that you were never behind. You were being refined. You didn't lose years, you gained roots. There was a young artist named Selah who once painted faces but never her own. She believed she wasn't worthy to be on the canvas. One day, while painting someone else's portrait, the spirit whispered, "Why do you honor everyone's beauty but hide your own?" That question broke her. She picked up the brush, faced the mirror, and began painting her reflection, tears mixing with color. What emerged wasn't perfection, it was truth. When she finished, she saw herself the way heaven did, imperfect yet radiant, scarred yet sacred. That's what God is inviting you into. Now the courage to see yourself through His lens. You are not behind schedule. You are right on time. The reflection in heaven's mirror shows a warrior who has survived storms others couldn't stand in. It shows a heart that still loves despite loss. a soul that still believes despite pain. When you look into that mirror, you may see scars, but heaven sees maps. Every mark guides you back to purpose. You may see fatigue, but heaven sees faith still flickering. You may see broken pieces, but heaven sees a mosaic of miracles. Stop trying to earn what you already embody. You are not becoming chosen, you already are. This reflection is the evidence. The watchers of heaven rejoice when you finally believe this truth. Because self-recognition in the light of grace is one of heaven's greatest victories. You've been seen, studied, and strengthened. But now you must see yourself. The mirror isn't showing future potential, it's revealing present truth. You are the answer to prayers you once prayed. And if this message resonates with your spirit, if something deep within you is whispering, "I finally see it, I finally see me," then pause here and leave your mark of agreement. Comment the number 11. The number 11 symbolizes divine alignment, heaven and earth moving in rhythm. Your reflection finally matching your reality. When you type it, you are saying, "I see myself as heaven does. I'm aligned with purpose, not perfection." This is not superstition, it's symbolism. It's your way of acknowledging the mirror moment, of agreeing with heaven's perspective over human perception. Stand before that spiritual mirror with courage. Let the truth of who you are replace the lies of who you thought you were. Because the moment you see yourself clearly, the world begins to change around you. There is something sacred about motion, about the way your life moves, even when it feels like standing still. What you don't realize, chosen one, is that every step you take, every word you speak, and every act of love you perform has become a message. Your movements are not random, they are divine language. Heaven uses your walk, your choices, and even your pauses to communicate truth into the world. Sometimes you underestimate the impact of your daily obedience. You think you're just surviving, but in the unseen, you are preaching through movement. Every time you refuse to quit, heaven writes a new verse through your persistence. You have become a living sermon, a walking prophecy in motion. The scriptures describe this mystery in the book of Corinthians, the 3rd chapter. Verse 3, "You are a letter from Christ, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts." That means your life itself is a message, one that doesn't need explanation to carry power. Every breath, every decision, every display of compassion is ink in motion. The Spirit writes through your hands, through your presence, through the small choices that no one sees. You are not merely living, you are declaring. There once was a quiet nurse named Leona. She worked night shifts in a small-town hospital, caring for patients who had long stopped expecting miracles. She never preached, never quoted scripture, never sought attention. Yet every room she entered felt lighter, calmer, safer. One evening, an old patient who could barely speak grabbed her hand and whispered, "I don't know what you believe, but every time you walk in, I feel peace." Leona smiled softly, realizing she didn't need to preach faith, she was living it. You carry that same presence. Your movements, the way you walk into a room, the way you speak gently when others choose anger, release something unseen. You are not just existing in the world, you are shifting the atmosphere of it. Think of yourself as a harp strung between heaven and earth. Every step you take vibrates like a note. Every word becomes sound. Every act of obedience is a melody. The people around you hear that music even if they can't name its source. Some are comforted by it, some convicted, but all are changed by its harmony. That's why God watches the way you move through the ordinary. You may think your actions go unnoticed, but in the unseen world, they echo. A kind word spoken to a stranger travels further than you imagine. A small act of forgiveness becomes a song in the spirit realm. You have been walking sermons into rooms where words could never reach. Your presence alone disrupts hopelessness. Your stillness in chaos teaches peace. Your endurance during waiting seasons speaks louder than 1,000 declarations. You are the message that moves even in silence. Sometimes you'll never know the reach of your influence. Heaven often hides your impact, so pride doesn't distort purity. You may never meet the people who were healed by your kindness or strengthened by your resilience, but eternity records every step, every sacrifice, every motion of mercy. Imagine throwing a pebble into a still pond. The ripples stretch far beyond where it lands, touching edges you cannot see. That's what every faithful decision does. You think it's small, but heaven counts it as seismic. Your obedience sends waves of transformation into places you may never visit. And even when you stumble, your recovery still speaks. Grace moving through failure is its own sermon. When you rise again, heaven amplifies that sound so that someone else trapped in guilt can find courage to stand. Your movements are not meant to impress, they're meant to inspire. God designed your walk so that it testifies to His character. Your joy becomes a signpost pointing to hope. Your endurance becomes evidence that divine love sustains even fragile hearts. You may not wear a title or hold a platform, but you carry impact. Some of the loudest messages in history were delivered by quiet souls who simply live truth. So keep walking faithfully. Even when no one seems to notice, keep choosing peace when provoked, grace when wronged, patience when delayed. These movements are sacred syllables in the divine language of transformation. One day, you'll see how every step formed sentences in eternity, how your persistence rewrote despair into faith, how your kindness shaped unseen futures. For now, simply know this: your life is already speaking. Heaven is reading every movement like poetry, and the world is learning what God looks like through you. There is a moment in every divine story when hiding is no longer possible. You've tried to stay small, to blend into the quiet corners, but the light on you refuses to dim. It's not pride, it's purpose. The mantle of visibility is not something you chase, it's something that finds you when heaven decides it's time. You didn't ask for attention, but now even silence seems to speak your name. When God increases your light, He also expands your reach. But visibility comes with its own weight. The eyes that once ignored you now turn to analyze. The hearts that once dismissed you now watch closely. Yet this is not a trap, it's training. Heaven doesn't expose you to destroy you. It reveals you to refine you publicly. You were never meant to live unseen forever. Hidden seasons are temporary classrooms, not permanent homes. The time comes when what has been built in private must breathe in public. You are the vessel that carries evidence that God's hand still shapes destinies. The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, captures this moment perfectly. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. M. That verse isn't a promise of comfort, it's a declaration of responsibility. The moment you accept that mantle, your life becomes illumination for others. People will look to you not because you're flawless, but because you're faithful. Light doesn't need perfection to shine, it just needs permission to exist. There was a young man named Ezra who used to pray, "Lord, useme," quietly. But as his prayers deepened, doors began to open. People sought his counsel. His words traveled farther, and his solitude slowly became stage. He resisted, afraid that visibility would corrupt his humility. One night, he heard a voice whisper, "The lamp was not made for the cellar." That moment shifted everything. Ezra realized, humility doesn't mean hiding, it means shining without claiming the light as your own. Like Ezra, you've reached that threshold. God is calling you to carry visibility with grace. The mantle doesn't make you greater than others, it makes you responsible for reflection. What you carry now is not just for your comfort, it's for confirmation that light still works. Visibility is not always glamorous. It brings observation, expectation, even criticism. But remember, no city on a hill asks the night's permission to shine. It simply stands and does what it was made to do. Imagine yourself as a lighthouse on a rugged coast. Storms crash, waves roar, yet the beam keeps turning. It doesn't argue with the darkness, it just stays consistent. The ships that pass may never thank it, yet they find safety because it refused to go out. That's what carrying the mantle of visibility looks like: steady, faithful, resilient. You might worry that you're not ready, that you still have too many flaws. But light passing through cracked vessels only shines more beautifully. The imperfections allow grace to pour out in patterns that perfection could never imitate. Your scars are not disqualifications. They are designs in the glass that make your radiance unique. Being seen doesn't mean being understood. Some will misread your intentions. Others will project their pain onto your story. Let them. You were not chosen to be universally approved, but divinely appointed. The same light that guides one ship may blind another. That is not your burden to carry. Visibility also tests the heart. The temptation to please crowds will whisper, "Louder now." But remember, heaven, not applause, is your audience. You were trained in hiddenness for this reason, so that when recognition comes, you won't trade authenticity for acceptance, even invisibility. Maintain secrecy with God. Keep sacred what must stay private. Not every revelation belongs on display. Some truths are meant only for the altar. The more public your life becomes, the more private your worship must remain. When you walk in the mantle of visibility, humility becomes your armor. Gratitude becomes your language. Consistency becomes your offering. This is how you shine without burning out. So, don't fear the light that now surrounds you. Don't shrink when eyes turn your way. The mantle is not a spotlight. It's a torch handed down by heaven. You're not performing. You're illuminating. You were once hidden to grow. Now, you are revealed to glow. The same God who guarded your obscurity now guards your visibility. He has not exposed you to mockery, but to meaning. Walk in your mantle with reverence. You are the city on the hill, the lighthouse in the storm, the reflection of divine faithfulness in human form. Shine not to be seen, but to remind the world that light still lives among them. There is a moment that arrives quietly, almost without warning, the moment when you realize not all eyes that watch you wish you well. Some watch with wonder, others with worry, and some with fear they cannot explain. Light, by its very nature, reveals what darkness prefers to hide. When you carry divine purpose, your presence alone becomes confrontation. The eyes that fear you will whisper doubts, question motives, and measure your worth by their insecurities. The eyes that rejoice over you will celebrate your courage and stand silently in prayer for your journey. And heaven watches both, smiling, because even opposition has purpose. It refines your focus. It teaches you to shine without seeking applause and to endure without seeking revenge. You were never meant to be everyone's favorite. You were meant to be faithful. The same light that warms one heart might expose another. Yet still, you must shine. The prophet David wrote in the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 6, "He will make your righteousness shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun." That promise means you never have to prove yourself. Your light is its own defense. The more you walk in truth, the more time itself becomes your witness. There was a woman named Rena who once faced ridicule for believing that God could use her in business. Her ideas were mocked, her kindness mistaken for weakness. But she stayed the course, keeping her integrity even when others took shortcuts. Years later, the same people who dismissed her were asking for advice on how to walk with peace in chaos. Rena didn't preach to them, she lived her sermon, and her life became their revelation. This is how heaven works. The eyes that once looked down will one day look up, not in worship, but in wonder. They will see that you didn't climb your way here, you grew here, watered by tears, anchored by grace. When you understand that not every gaze is friendly, you learn to guard your peace without closing your heart. You begin to move like a river through the mountains, bending gracefully around resistance, letting the rocks polish your flow instead of blocking it. Every current of kindness you release becomes a testimony. And here, in this rhythm of being seen, heaven invites you to participate, to become part of the flow that carries this message farther. Because when one light glows alone, it warms a room, but when many lights unite, they set the horizon on fire. Every simple gesture, liking, sharing, subscribing, is like tossing a pebble of light into a vast lake. The ripples move outward, touching souls you'll never meet. Each act of connection extends grace into places words may never reach. And if you ever feel led to go beyond that, a donation becomes a seed planted in sacred soil. A quiet investment in the continuation of the flame. You're not giving to a person, you're adding oil to a collective lamp that burns for weary hearts across the world. This is not pressure, it's poetry. The beauty of free will is that your act of support, however small, becomes worship when it's done with joy. You don't have to, you get to. Think of it this way: a single drop of water cannot fill a river, but together they carve valleys and bring life to deserts. Your engagement, your prayer, your like, your share, these are drops of divine motion joining the current. Even silence can be participation. Listening with an open heart, carrying the words quietly into your day. That too is support. Light doesn't always roar. Sometimes it simply stays. If this message speaks to you, let your heart respond however it chooses. A like is a whisper of gratitude. A share is a spark passed to another. A subscription is a promise to keep the flame alive. A donation is the oil that keeps the lamp from dimming. And when something in these words touches your spirit, leave a comment below, like carving your initials on the bark of a living tree. It tells heaven, I was here, and the light found me. Each one is sacred. Each one is voluntary. Together, they build a fire that refuses to fade. Because this isn't just about a message, it's about movement. A chorus of souls remembering that light still conquers darkness. Generosity still heals wounds. And faith still finds a way. So whether you shine quietly or boldly, remember, your light matters. Your participation matters. And every time you choose to keep this flame alive through action, support, or even simple awareness, you become part of the miracle yourself. And one day, when heaven looks down and sees the glow spreading across hearts connected by faith, it will whisper, they understood. They kept the fire alive. There comes a moment in the story of every chosen one when the tides shift, and the pattern of pain begins to make sense. You start to see the threads that once looked tangled, now forming something beautiful. Heaven calls this the great divine reversal, the sacred turning of the tide, where what was meant to break you becomes the very thing that builds you. This is not poetic exaggeration. It is spiritual law. God does not waste injustice. He transforms it into inheritance. Every tear you've cried has been accounted for. Every delay that wounded your faith was actually positioning your promise. When the reversal begins, it happens quietly like dawn, slipping through the edges of a long night. The prophet Isaiah once declared in chapter 61, verse 7, instead of your shame, you shall receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace, you shall rejoice in your inheritance. That is the rhythm of heaven's justice. The same areas where you were humiliated become the places of honor. The same mouths that mocked will witness your rising. But before that day comes, God works within you, so the blessing won't break you. You might remember the days when everything seemed to go wrong at once, when you prayed and nothing changed, when doors shut despite your effort. Yet even in those moments, the unseen was shifting. The divine reversal doesn't announce itself, it unfolds. What feels like loss often carries hidden restoration. There was a man named Jonah, not the prophet of Scripture, but a teacher who felt his dreams collapse. He lost his job unjustly, was blamed for something he didn't do, and carried that wound for years. But during that dark season, he started teaching free lessons to children in his neighborhood, using his remaining strength to give what he still had. Months later, one of those children's parents, moved by his kindness, offered him a position managing an educational program that reached hundreds. The same rejection that once humiliated him became the door that elevated him. That is how divine reversal moves silently, unexpectedly, beautifully. Heaven turns humiliation into testimony. Think of it like a river reversing its current. For years, it seemed to flow against you, pushing you backward, exhausting your faith. But when the wind of God breathes across the waters, the flow changes direction. Suddenly, what once resisted you begins to carry you forward. That's what happens when heaven decides the lesson is complete. In the divine reversal, time itself becomes an ally. The seasons that felt wasted begin to produce fruit. You'll notice people, opportunities, and blessings circling back, not as repeats, but as redeemed versions of what once was. Forgiveness plays a crucial role in this shift. The moment you release bitterness, heaven releases restoration. Unforgiveness locks blessings out. Mercy unlocks them. You don't forgive to free your enemies. You forgive to free your future. The divine reversal also exposes motives. You'll see people return, not because they suddenly understand you, but because they now recognize what God has placed on you. Handle those returns with grace. Restoration is not revenge, it's redemption. Imagine yourself as a seed buried deep underground. To the world, you disappeared, but to heaven, you were being positioned. The pressure of the soil, the weight of waiting, it all worked together to awaken life inside you. When the reversal comes, the soil that once buried you becomes the very ground that holds your roots. This is the mystery of God's mathematics. He multiplies through subtraction. Every loss you faced was an equation leading to increase. Every door that closed redirected you toward destiny. Heaven is too precise to waste pain. And when the reversal fully unfolds, it will not feel like compensation. It will feel like completion. You will understand why certain prayers were delayed, why certain relationships had to end, why certain seasons felt empty. Each was a building block in a greater design. The watchers who doubted your endurance will witness your elevation. Those who pitied you will marvel at your peace. That's the beauty of divine justice. It doesn't shout, it shines. When you stand in that moment of reversal, do not gloat. Remember the humility that carried you here. You are being raised, not just to be seen, but to serve. The true reward of reversal is not status, it's stewardship. Your role is to walk with grace in places that once knew your grief, to bring healing where you were once wounded, to extend generosity in spaces that once withheld it. That is the ultimate proof that the reversal has completed its work in you. Because, in the end, the great divine reversal is not about vindication, it's about transformation. You will know it has arrived not when you are celebrated, but when you can finally look at your past and say, I would not change a thing. Oh, there is a moment, quiet but mighty, when heaven finishes its unveiling and you realize you have crossed into a new realm of being. The watchers who once followed your pain now witness your peace. The same eyes, angelic, human, and even demonic, that observed your struggle now stand in awe as glory begins to rise upon you. This is the crowning, not a crown made of gold or fame, but of endurance, obedience, and unbroken faith. You don't receive this crown through applause, you receive it through surrender. The journey here has been long, carved by valleys of waiting and mountains of testing. Each trial chiseled something from you that could not enter eternity unrefined. What remains now is a heart that no longer seeks validation, only alignment. You've learned that being chosen isn't about being special, it's about being surrendered. The writings of the Apostle Peter, in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 10, speak into this very moment, and the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm and steadfast. That is the essence of this final chapter. Restoration, not for comfort, but for calling. You are not being rewarded, you are being recommissioned. The crown you wear is not a decoration, It's a declaration that you have been tested and trusted. There was a craftsman once who forged metal for royal ornaments. One day, a young apprentice asked him, "How do you know when a crown is ready?" The craftsman smiled and said, "When it can hold its shape under fire." That is how heaven measures readiness, not by beauty, but by endurance. And you, chosen one, have held your shape under fire. Imagine yourself standing on a mountain peak after a storm. The wind still whispers. The ground still glistens with rain, but the sky is clear. You can see valleys where you once cried, rivers where you once drowned, and paths you once feared to take. Every shadow has turned into memory, every wound into wisdom. The air tastes different here, thinner, purer, filled with purpose. This is the reward of perseverance, perspective. You finally understand why it had to happen the way it did. You can see now that what you thought was punishment was preparation. What you mistook for silence was strategy. The watcher's eyes were never there to shame you. They were there to witness grace, rewrite the impossible. The crowning is not a single event. It's a state of becoming. You are crowned every time you choose forgiveness over vengeance, peace over pride, faith over fear. The true crown is invisible, yet its weight is felt in the steadiness of your spirit. Now, the light that once felt heavy rests easily upon you. You are not striving anymore, you are flowing. The anxiety of being seen has melted into the serenity of being certain you know who you are, whose you are, and why you were chosen. But remember, crowns are not meant to be hoarded. They are meant to reflect. Your victory is not for display, it's for direction. Someone else will find their courage by watching how you carry your peace. Someone lost will rediscover faith by seeing how you forgive. This is how heaven multiplies light through witnesses who once walked in darkness. The watchers will keep watching. But the story has changed. Where they once saw confusion, they now see clarity. Where they once saw fear, they now see faith. You have become a living monument of grace. Think of yourself as a torch lifted in twilight. The night still exists, but your flame declares that morning is inevitable. You are not the end of the story, you are the bridge to hope for those still climbing. As the crown settles, heaven doesn't say, "Finished." It says, "Begin again," because the chosen are not called to rest in glory, but to carry it. The light that crowns you is meant to move through you. And when you walk forward from this moment, the eyes of every realm will still follow, but not to test or to taunt. Now they watch in reverence, seeing the reflection of their Creator shining through you. You are no longer the one being proven, you are the proof. And now, as this journey reaches its final breath, the message lingers, not as an ending, but as an echo. You have heard the whispers, felt the fire, and carried the weight of being watched, chosen, and crowned. The story was never about arrival, it was about awakening. What began as a quiet word has now become a current. It moves through every listener, through every heart that dared to believe that light could still win. And you, yes, you, are part of that current now. The words you've read, the visions you've seen, the peace you've felt, they are no longer mine alone. They belong to you. You are the continuation of this message. Every time you live with courage, forgive with grace, or walk with quiet strength, the story keeps breathing. And if these words have stirred something within you, let it move outward. A simple like, is a ripple of gratitude. A share is a spark passed from one soul to another. A comment, your own reflection, becomes a footprint in sacred soil, telling heaven, I was here, and I chose light. A subscription is more than a click. It's a candle added to a growing constellation of faith, and a donation, however small, is a drop of oil poured into this shared flame, keeping it burning for the next weary traveler who needs warmth. No pressure, no demand, only invitation. You do not owe anything, but if your heart wishes to water the soil that watered you, this is how gardens grow. Because this isn't just a script, it's a seed. And seeds bloom when souls unite. So, however you choose to respond, through presence, through prayer, through generosity, know that your part is precious. Every like is a whisper of faith. Every share is a bridge of light. Every act of giving, no matter how small, becomes proof that heaven still moves through human hearts. The watchers have seen your endurance. Now, let the world see your light.